What became of Hitler's most trusted military commanders after Germany's defeat? During World War II, German Field Marshals held the highest military rank. They were the elite of the Nazi military machine, trusted by Hitler to execute his vision of conquest. However, their power and prestige ended abrupt with Germany's defeat in 1945. How did these once powerful military leaders face the consequences of their actions after Germany's defeat? In this video, we will find out. So without further ado, let's start with the first name on our list. Walter von Brauchitsch. Born into a military family, Walter von Brauchitsch followed in the footsteps of his forefathers, building a career in the German army that would see him rise to the rank of Commander-in-Chief of the German army from 1938 to 1941. Von Brauchitz's military career was marked by his strategic expertise, especially during the successful Blitzkrieg campaigns of 1939 and 40. He oversaw key operations in Poland, France, and the Low Countries. However, despite his early successes, his tenure as Commander-in-Chief was impaired by his inability to control Adolf Hitler's increasing interference in military matters. Hitler's micromanagement undermined von Brauchitz's authority, especially during critical campaigns such as the invasion of the Soviet Union in 1941, which ultimately led to disaster for Germany on the Eastern Front. His health deteriorated, culminating in a heart attack in November 1941. This health crisis, coupled with the failure of Operation Typhoon, the attack on Moscow, led to his dismissal by Hitler in December 1941. From that point on, von Brauchitsch spent the remainder of the war in a forced retirement at his estate, effectively sidelined from further military involvement. The end of the war brought a dramatic shift in von Brauchitz's circumstances. In August 1945, British forces arrested him on charges of war crimes. He was held in custody for 3 years, awaiting trial for his actions during the war. However, fate had other plans for the former Field Marshal. On October 18, 1948, just as he was set to face prosecution, Walter von Brauchitsch died of pneumonia. His death before trial raised questions about justice and accountability for high-ranking military leaders after the war. The man who had once commanded Hitler's armies would never have to answer for his actions in a court of law. Maximilian von Weich. Maximilian von Weich had a military career that was characterized by both notable achievements and actions that sparked controversy. As a field marshal in the German army, he commanded the Second Army during major military campaigns, including the invasions of France, Yugoslavia, and the Soviet Union. His role in these operations brought him to the forefront of Nazi Germany's war efforts. In 1944, he was appointed commander of the German forces in the Balkans, where his responsibilities included suppressing partisan resistance movements in Yugoslavia and Greece. His tenure in the Balkans was characterized by brutal anti-partisan operations and widespread atrocities against civilians, a reflection of the increasingly desperate measures the German military employed in the later stages of the war. Von Weich retired from his military career on 25th of March 1945 and was arrested by American troops in May. The Nuremberg trials, established to bring Nazi war criminals to justice, included von Weich among those to be prosecuted. Specifically, he was scheduled to participate in the US Army hostages trial, facing charges related to the suppression of partisans in the Balkans. In a surprising turn of events, von Weich was removed from the proceedings before being judged or sentenced. The official reason given was medical reasons, a justification that raises ethical questions about accountability for war crimes. The decision allowed von Weich to evade prosecution despite his alleged involvement in serious wartime atrocities. Maximilian von Weich died on September 27, 1954 in Bonn, West Germany, at the age of 72. Georg von Kuchler. Georg von Kuchler's military career began early, as he joined the German army in 1900. Rising through the ranks, he gained experience during World War I and continued his service through the interwar years, where he specialized in artillery. Von Kuchler's military career reached its peak during World War II, when he commanded the 18th Army and later Army Group North. His role in the invasion of the Soviet Union was significant, but it also led to his downfall. Von Kuchler's actions during the war, particularly his harsh military policies and involvement in war crimes, would eventually catch up with him. Von Kuchler was promoted to Field Marshal in 1942. By early 1944, with the Red Army making significant advances, von Kuchler was relieved of his command by Adolf Hitler due to his failure to halt Soviet counteroffensives. He retired from his professional duties. During his retirement, von Kuchler turned down an invitation to participate in the anti-Hitler movement. At the end of the war, von Kuchler was arrested by the American army. Unlike some of his counterparts, von Kuchler faced the consequences of his actions. In the High Command trial, he stood accused of war crimes and crimes against humanity committed in the Soviet Union. The trial revealed the extent of his involvement in the atrocities, including the murder of mentally disabled individuals in occupied territories. During the proceedings, von Kuchler admitted to the harsh conditions in POW camps, but attributed them primarily to winter conditions, which he described as an act of God. He also claimed that the army exaggerated POW mortality rates to receive more supplies. Despite these attempts to mitigate his responsibility, the court found him guilty. Von Kuchler's conviction resulted in a 20-year prison sentence. However, his time behind bars was shortened when his sentence was reviewed and reduced to 12 years in 1951. In February 1953, von Kuchler was released from prison, having served less than a decade for his crimes. He was released in February 1953 and went on to live with his wife in the Garmisch region. He passed away in Garmisch-Partenkirchen on May 25, 1968. Wilhelm Ritter von Lieb. Wilhelm Ritter von Lieb was a career military officer who began his service in the Bavarian army. He rose through the ranks during World War I, where he distinguished himself as a capable officer, earning several medals, including the prestigious Military Order of Max Joseph, which granted him a noble title. As a result, Lieb's surname was changed to Ritter von Lieb. Von Lieb commanded Army Group C during the invasion of France in 1940, playing a key role in the rapid defeat of French forces. His success in this campaign earned him a promotion to Field Marshal. On March 30, 1941, von Lieb was among over 200 senior military officers who attended a speech delivered by Adolf Hitler. In this address, Hitler detailed his vision for an ideological war of annihilation against the Soviet Union. During Operation Barbarossa, von Lieb was assigned to lead Army Group North. His mission was to advance through the Baltic states and capture the strategic city of Leningrad. His forces were implicated in war crimes against civilians, cooperating closely with the SS Einsatzgruppen, responsible for mass executions, particularly targeting the Jewish population. Von Lieb was also involved in transmitting the Barbarossa Decree, which authorized the killing of Soviet political commissars and harsh treatment of Soviet prisoners of war. On January 15, 1942, von Lieb requested that Hitler either grant him autonomy in his command or relieve him of his duties. Hitler chose to relieve him, and von Kuchler took over as commander of Army Group North. Von Lieb was never given another command by Hitler. Von Lieb was tried in the High Command trial. Despite serious allegations, von Lieb's trial resulted in a surprisingly lenient sentence. His defense attorney portrayed him as a humane soldier who had not seen or transmitted criminal orders, arguing that the actions of his troops were a result of battle conditions and military necessity. The court convicted von Lieb of transmitting the Barbarossa Decree and its criminal application by subordinate units. However, he received only a 3-year prison sentence, which was effectively time served. The judgment stated, "No criminal order has been introduced into evidence that bears his signature or stamp of his approval." Von Lieb's case exemplifies the complexities of post-war trials, where some high-ranking officers received minimal punishment. This outcome potentially undermines the principles of accountability and reconciliation that the trials were meant to uphold. It's worth noting that despite his light sentence, von Lieb had received substantial financial benefits from the Nazi regime, including secret gifts of 250,000 Reichsmarks and an estate valued at 660,000 Reichsmarks, indicating a level of complicity and reward for his loyalty. After von Lieb was released, he went back to his estate in Hohenschwangau, Bavaria, and passed away following a heart attack in 1956. Paul Ludwig Ewald von Kleist. Paul Ludwig von Kleist came from a military family with a long history of service. His career spanned both World War I and II. Von Kleist was particularly recognized for his leadership during the early Blitzkrieg campaigns. He commanded the 1st Panzer Group during the invasion of France in 1940, leading a fast-moving armored thrust that penetrated deep into French defenses, contributing to a swift German victory. In 1941, von Kleist was involved in Operation Barbarossa, commanding the 1st Panzer Army. He led his army during some of the largest tank battles in history, including the encirclement of Soviet forces at Uman and Kiev. These operations inflicted massive losses on the Red Army and contributed to the initial German advance into Soviet territory. However, von Kleist's campaigns in the Soviet Union also revealed the limits of German military strategy, as logistical challenges and the harsh Russian winter eventually stalled the offensive. Von Kleist's career took a significant turn in 1942 when he was appointed commander of Army Group A during the offensive into the Caucasus. His forces were tasked with capturing the vital oil fields of the region, but the campaign faltered due to the overextension of German resources and the fierce Soviet resistance. By early 1943, the Germans were forced to retreat from the Caucasus, marking a turning point in the war. On March 30, 1944, after a series of retreats and failures, von Kleist was dismissed by Hitler, who increasingly distrusted his military commanders. He was succeeded by Ferdinand Schörner. Following the unsuccessful attempt to assassinate Hitler on July 20, 1944, known as the 20th July Plot, the Gestapo implicated and arrested von Kleist. This was due to his cousin's involvement in the Oster conspiracy. Despite the arrest, von Kleist managed to avoid trial and was subsequently released. After the war, von Kleist was captured by Allied forces and handed over to Yugoslavia, where he was sentenced to 15 years in prison for war crime. He was later extradited to the Soviet Union. There, he faced trial for war crimes related to his commands on the Eastern Front. Von Kleist was sentenced to 25 years in a correctional labor camp. Von Kleist's final years were spent in Soviet captivity. On November 13, 1954, he died of heart failure while imprisoned at Vladimir Central Prison. His death made him one of the highest-ranking German officers to die in Soviet custody. Wilhelm List. After the First World War, like many officers, Wilhelm List remained in the reduced Reichswehr, helping to modernize Germany's military under the limitations of the Treaty of Versailles. With the outbreak of World War II, List played a key role in the German invasion of Poland in 1939. His successes in the operation earned him Hitler's favor, and by 1940, he was promoted to Field Marshal. One of List's most notable assignments was leading German forces during the Balkan Campaign in 1941. He commanded Army Group A, which was crucial in the invasion of Yugoslavia and Greece. However, List's involvement in the Balkans also connects him to the darker aspects of the war. The region saw brutal repression, mass executions, and harsh reprisals against partisans and civilians. While the extent of List's personal involvement in these atrocities is debated, his position as a commanding officer inevitably links him to the war crimes committed by German forces under his command. In 1942, List's career ended abruptly during Case Blue, the German summer offensive on the Eastern Front. Tasked with capturing vital oil fields in the Caucasus, his forces faced logistical challenges and strong Soviet resistance. When the operation faltered, Hitler dismissed List from command. After his dismissal, List never returned to active duty. He was later arrested by Allied forces and tried in the hostages trial, where German generals were prosecuted for war crimes in the Balkans. List was sentenced to life imprisonment in 1948, but was released in 1953 due to ill health. However, he continued to live for 19 more years, passing away on August 17, 1971, at the age of 91. Well, that's it. Thank you for watching. We hope you found this video informative. If you enjoyed learning about today's topic, make sure to check out our video about what happened to German generals after World War II. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on more World War II content. And we'll see you in the next one.